farmers in the United States have had huge problems with the last several growing seasons, especially with wetness to a degree that they've never experienced beforehand.
If we see a change in the climate in the regions where you have studied it over a period of time, and so basically more variability, the moment in which the rains comes is different than when we came before. The amount is different, it can be more or less, but it's still different. The next question is, what is the cause, and how do we make it rational for us to say the cause to this change that you've measured? So for example, if you just focus on the regions where you have analyzed the data the most, what is the cause?
The cause is that for whatever reason, the atmosphere is hotter and it changes where moisture goes. I can be more specific that if you want, but not getting into politics, whether it's primarily driven by man or it's just a natural cycle, that fact is just simply true. And it affects the how moisture and water moves around the planet. And that's what drives rain. And so as far as what to do about it, I mean, there's two core ideas. There's one of mitigation and there's one of adaptation. Mitigation is inherently based on the idea that that it's driven by man primarily, or that man has the ability to change what's happening at a global scale. And while that there's some technologies that might have promise down the road, the simple truth is we can't do it currently, and that it's changing how agriculture works today. And to be clear, it's not just a problem in the developing world. I mean, farmers in the United States have had huge problems with the last several growing seasons, especially with wetness to a degree that they've never experienced beforehand. And so, that's the issue of mitigation, of how do you deal with it or how do you correct it? And then there's adaptation, which is, this is happening, how do we make the best of it? And that's the one that, is the reality of how we're going to proceed as a species, because, we haven't figured out how to reverse it, and agriculture is going to change for it. We're going to grow more drought resistant crops. We're going to grow crops in different places than we have historically. And that being a farmer has always been difficult. And the next, several decades are going to be harder than ever beforehand, just because every year is going to be novel for them. And that is an incredibly challenging situation for anyone, much less one that relies on, things that are outside their control happening in order for their crop to be successful.
So one of the things we have captured here is that you have measured, this is the scientific fact, weather variability that has increased a lot in the equatorial region. And then to the point of completely disrupting the agricultural cycle there, whereas you have measured in the developing world, so at the, if you like, at the latitude, at the northern latitude, you have measured tangible changes, but not in the same magnitude. Can your technology be used or partially used to hint when bigger effects would be seen at the northern latitude?
So yeah, this is something that we've worked on in the past and have some engagements currently. The thing to understand about agriculture is that it's no different than other biological systems in the following way. Changes don't happen gradually, that it's a buffered system, and at a certain point, the ability to buffer runs out, and all of a sudden you get over a tipping point. And that, and so the real question is, where and when are those tipping points going to occur? In the US, the one that probably has gotten the most discussion and concern is water in the Southwest. Is places like, Phoenix going to be viable given the snowfall that's happening upstream, along the Colorado River, and issues like that. But there's also, that applies to farmers just as much as anyone else. And so, with regard to your specific question, it's really working at the intersection of understanding the biological systems for when those tipping points are likely to be occurring, like in terms of like, is it a 3 degrees rise in temperature, a 4 degree? Is it precipitation going below 80% of current levels, that kind of thing? And then looking at what the trends are saying. In the tropics, you can literally see, just like you need nothing more complicated than a linear regression over the last 15 years to see the variability. In the northern latitudes, it's not that extreme yet, but what you are seeing is a huge amount in the increase of the variance. Like, it's no longer a stationary system. And the question is just, at what point do we have enough years where it's outside of those bounds that it tips over into a new regime that we have not experienced as a people before?